This meeting is taking place in what's known as California, home to nearly 200 tribal nations. We acknowledge and honor the original inhabitants of our many regions. CEC is coming to you from Chumash lands, so please add your acknowledgement in the chat if you'd like. And before I hand it over to Farah for the training, I'd like to just share with you a little bit. You can read about CEC's mission here on the slide. And after the training, I'm going to share briefly with you about some of the details on our 2023 successes with local policy wins. Here we are in California, we're on the Central Coast, we're quickly moving our region to 100% renewable electricity. And I'll share some details on how we're doing that. We're making it easier to adopt electric vehicles. California just hit 27% of new vehicle sales being electric, which is really exciting. We're getting natural gas out of new construction and existing buildings, and we have other programs that are making progress in climate smart agriculture, reducing plastic waste, climate resilience, climate justice, and climate leadership. And this is our team. You can see right here in this space. And now I'm going to introduce Farah, our policy associate.
Hi, everyone. My name is Farah Stack. I am the Climate Policy Associate here at the Community Environmental Council. I welcome everyone joining us in person and on Zoom this evening. Today, we are going to learn how to engage in climate advocacy and activism by participating in government meetings. Climate advocacy and activism are both forms of engagement aimed at addressing the climate crisis. Advocacy and activism involves promoting and supporting specific actions and policies to address climate and environmental issues. At CEC, we advocate for environmental and climate issues in many different ways. We influence policy by giving public comments at government meetings. We advocate for solutions through education and awareness. This includes creating educational resources and toolkits that we share with community members. And we organize and mobilize. We bring people together and we encourage individuals to engage in civic processes. For today's training, we will be learning how to be an activist by participating in local government meetings like city council meetings. We participate in government meetings by giving public comment. A public comment is a written or verbal statement given by a community member. It's an action item that anyone can take. It's an opportunity for you as a community member to express your opinions, your concerns, your hopes, and your feedback on policies or matters that impact you. As a community member, your voice has immense power. Your voices, your stories, and your experiences have the power to shape and create how you want your communities, your parks, and your streets to look like. Sharing our stories through public comment can also inspire others to participate in meetings alongside you. Public comments are meaningful because it's your voice that is representing something that matters to you as a community member who lives in the neighborhood. So what is a public meeting? Public meetings are places where elected officials like city councils or board of supervisors meet. These meetings are open to the public to allow people to show up, to listen, and to give feedback on items, policies, and matters being discussed by elected officials. In public meetings, specific time slots are allocated for public comments, providing you as a community member the opportunity to express your thoughts and your feedback. So here we have city council members sitting behind a desk. We have city staff sitting in front of the city council members, and we have a member of the public giving public comment at the podium. And notice that the city council members and the city staff are looking at the community member at the podium, and they are actively listening to what the community member has to say. Anyone can participate in public comment, whether or not you've given public comment before. At CEC, we've given public comments alongside teachers, mothers, fathers, grandparents, business owners, librarians, young children, and high school students. For example, recently in the city of Santa Paula, high school student Daisy Zappola gave public comment and passionately advocated for clean energy in her city, emphasizing its significance to her as a young person navigating the challenges of the climate crisis. In Santa Maria, school teachers gave public comment in support of protecting agricultural lands because they were worried about more pollution if roads are built on prime farmland. As members of a community, you possess the expertise in the solutions needed to address the challenges that affect your families, your environment, and your neighborhoods. Our lived experiences provide crucial insights that our elected officials may overlook or fail to consider when creating policies, which is why participating in public meetings and sharing our experiences and our stories is critical to ensuring equitable and community-centered policies. One form of local government where your voice can have a significant influence is at city councils. A city council is a local government body responsible for making decisions and passing laws that affect the city and its residents. A city council approves policies and programs, they make recommendations to staff, and they attend public meetings to discuss items affecting the city. A city council can have at least 5 to a dozen elected council members and a mayor. The number of city council members on a city council depends on the size of a city and varies from city to city. City councils meet regularly, and the meeting schedules differ from city to city. And city council meetings occur at places called city halls. And this slide on the screen shows an example of a room in City Hall where the city council holds public meetings. This is a picture of a public meeting room at Santa Barbara City Hall. This is an example of the city council in the city of Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara has 6 council members as well as a mayor. Mayor Randy Rouse, who is located front and center of the photo. And each council member serves a district within the city of Santa Barbara, and the mayor represents the city. And a district is a specific area within a city that is represented by a member of the city council. And a city council member must live in the district they represent. So for example, on the slide is a district map of the city of Ventura. And council member Liz Campos in red on the left top part of the screen represents District 1, meaning that council member Campos represents the community members in District 1. As an elected official who represents community members of District 1, Councilmember Campos has a responsibility to listen to the concerns and needs of the community members in District 1 and to bring those concerns and that feedback to city council meetings. Another form of local government is the Board of Supervisors. They also hold public meetings where community members can attend and participate by giving public comment. This is a photo of the County Board of Supervisors in Santa Barbara County. The Board of Supervisors acts as the governing body for a county and makes decisions that impact the overall well-being and developments of the community. The Board of Supervisors, also called the board, consists of officials called supervisors who are elected by residents. And each supervisor represents a district in Santa Barbara County. Supervisors oversee county affairs, they enact laws, and they help allocate funds to various county departments and programs. City councils and Board of Supervisors represent the two main forms of local government where you, as a community member, can have significant influence in shaping policies that reflect your community's needs. City councils and Board of Supervisors are responsible for governing at the local level, which means that they are closest to the local community. And this proximity allows individuals to have a more direct impact on local policies and decisions. Other people who attend public meetings include the city clerk, who is responsible for recording public meetings and maintaining official records. The city clerk is also responsible for collecting public comment cards when you do attend a city council meeting to give public comment. The city clerk is also the person you can call or email to request accessibility accommodations. The city manager helps manage the city departments and works closely with council members to implement policies. City staff can provide recommendations of the best approaches for city council members to take, and they also help develop other policy alternatives. And the public consists of community members like you and people who represent organizations like me. So now we know who attends public meetings. We need to know where and how we can participate in the meeting. The City Council and County Board of Supervisors provide a resource called the Agenda to help us know how to participate in the public meeting. This is an example of a Spanish and an English agenda from the City of Santa Barbara. The City of Santa Barbara actually provides all of their agendas in Spanish and in English. And we look at an agenda because it gives us important information like where, when, and at what time the meeting will take place. And this information is always provided at the top of the front page of an agenda. And this agenda, for example, tells us that the meeting on November 7th takes place at 2 p.m. And the front page of an agenda also tells us if there is an option to participate in the meeting via Zoom, how much time you have to give public comment, and where you can email public comments if you decide to email one. Agendas are released every week on the City Council's and Board of Supervisors websites, and the agendas are also posted outside the room where City Council and Board of Supervisor meetings take place. And it's very important to review an agenda as early as you can and before the day of the meeting, so you know what items or policies will be discussed before the public meeting begins. Cities and counties post the agenda anywhere between 3 days to a week before the meeting. You also have the option to subscribe and receive agendas directly in your emails, and this way you'll get an email notification whenever agenda is posted. And another way you can receive updates on matters happening in your community is by signing up to receive emails from local organizations like us at CEC. If you're interested in environmental and climate action, you can sign up to join our CEC Climate Activist List and receive emails on how to participate in local climate advocacy opportunities. If you're passionate about housing justice, environmental justice, you can sign up for action alerts from the Central Coast Alliance United for a Sustainable Economy, or CAUSE. If you're passionate about labor justice and immigrant rights, you can sign up to get involved with Mixteco Indigenous Community Organizing Project, or MICOP. Agendas also show us the outline of the planned topics or items that will be discussed by the council members or supervisors. This slide shows an example of a general format of a city council meeting. It's important to note that the format of each meeting looks different from city to city and from county to county, and this is just an example. All city council and board of supervisor meetings start with the Pledge of Allegiance, where people may stand. Next is roll call, and this is when the mayor or the supervisor will call the names of the council members or supervisors to check and see who's present and who's not present at the meeting. A consent calendar is when topics or items are grouped together that are non-controversial, that the decision-making body will typically approve without consent. And sometimes the board of supervisors or the council members might pull an item from the consent calendar to discuss, which means the meeting will run longer than expected. Next is the general public comment period. And this type of public comment period allows individuals to address topics that may not be on the agenda or fall within the scope of specific public hearings or agenda items. And the general public comment period is usually placed at the beginning of the meeting, and it gives individuals an opportunity to provide input on matters that are not scheduled for discussion during that particular meeting. Some organizations and community members use this general public comment period to talk about issues, to raise issues happening in their community, and these issues, again, are not on the agenda. For example, recently in the city of Port Hueneme, a group of community members and local activists gave public comment during the general public comment period in support of a smoking ban policy in multi-unit residences. And this was a policy that was not on the agenda for that evening. Activists used the general public comment period to raise awareness about an issue that was affecting them and other members of the neighborhood, and made sure that the city council was informed of this matter. A few weeks later, Port Hueneme City Council discussed the smoking policy that local activists had brought up at the prior meeting. And this might have not happened if it weren't for the community members and activists who spoke up and advocated for this issue together. Next are the public hearings and agenda items. A public hearing provides an opportunity for you to express your viewpoints, concerns, and support regarding the subject of the hearing. And the role of the council or the board is to hear and consider the views of community members when making a decision. An agenda item is a specific topic or issue that is scheduled to be discussed and addressed during a meeting, and the agenda items can be found on the far left side of an agenda page. Oftentimes, there might be a city staff member who gives a presentation on a topic being presented to the city council during a hearing. And most of the time, the city staff will give a recommendation for the city council or for the board to approve, or the staff may present other recommendations that give different paths for the elected officials to consider. And the elected officials will then ask the staff questions after the presentation. And after the council members or supervisors discuss their questions, the city clerk opens up the room to public comment. And during this time, the city clerk will invite you, the community member, up to the podium for public comment. and you are only given 2 to 3 minutes to speak. And during these 2 to 3 minutes, this is your opportunity to share your thoughts, your concerns, your feedback, and why or why not you support or oppose the item. After you provide your public comment, you can choose to leave or stay until the council or board concludes discussions on the item. And following the deliberations, council members or supervisors cast their votes to approve or disapprove of the item. Other business typically refers to a segment of the meeting where topics or issues that are not a part of the scheduled agenda items are discussed. And adjournment means that it signifies the official conclusion of the meeting, indicating that all participants can leave. And just one thing to keep in mind is that City Council and Board of Supervisor meetings vary in duration. Some may conclude within a couple of hours, while others can last several hours. And the length of these meetings is dependent upon factors such as the number of agenda items, the extent of discussions between City Council members and city staff, and the duration of public comments presented during the meeting. So this is an example of a section of an agenda from the City of Santa Paula. Notice that 11A on the top left corner is circled in orange. This is the item number. So when you're speaking and giving public comment, you will want to say, I'm speaking on agenda item 11A to let council and to let city staff know what agenda item you're speaking on. And the arrow points to the city staff member who is in charge of giving a presentation about the topic to city council members. So now we know the format of the meeting. Where can we find the agenda? So you can always find the agenda on a city or county's respective websites. To simplify access for everyone, we've compiled a resource containing links to all of the agendas in every city across the Tri-County. This includes Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties, along with the addresses of public meeting locations. And these addresses also serve as places where you can find the agenda. Some cities post their agendas on a bulletin board in front of the building, and others post them inside of the building near the front entrance, next to the doors when you walk into the building. For easy access, you can visit our language service scan by typing the provided link on the screen. And there are a few options for us to provide public comment. We can provide public comment via email. If you're busy or can't make it to a meeting, emailing your public comment is a really great option, so you're still able to share your thoughts with the city council or supervisors. Some cities still offer the option to give public comment via Zoom, and it's important to know that you will have to register for the Zoom meeting in order to receive the Zoom meeting link and participate in the meeting. And the information to register for the Zoom can be found on the front page of an agenda. We can also provide public comment in person at the City Hall or the Board of Supervisors. And the address for city and council meeting locations can be found at the top of the first page of an agenda. And when you do give public comment in person, it's important to know that you must fill out a piece of paper called a public comment card or a speaker slip. Public comment cards can usually be found on a desk near the entrance of the room where the public meeting occurs. This is an example of a public comment card from the city of Port Hueneme. It's a small piece of paper, and when completing this card, include the date, your name, the agenda item you want to speak on, and the name of your organization or your title if applicable. Alternatively, you can simply identify yourself as a community member or resident and provide your phone number and email address. This is an example of a public comment card I filled out, which you'll see on the right side of the screen. On the left side of the screen is a photo of the agenda item I gave public comment on, circled in orange, item 11A. I wrote the agenda item 11A, my name, my address, my title, my email, and the date on the public comment card on the right. And just remember that the agenda item number is located on the far left side of a page of an agenda. And once you fill out your public card with your information, you will hand it to the city clerk. And the city clerk is usually located in front of the door of the room where the meeting is being held, or inside the room behind a desk. And you'll usually know it's the city clerk because you'll see the title city clerk in front of their desk. It's very important that you both fill out the public comment card and hand it to the city clerk so they can call your name for you to give public comment on the item you want to speak on. And when you do give public comment in person, you'll have to wait until your item is discussed. And once it is your turn to speak, the city clerk will say your name into a microphone. You will then walk up to the podium and you'll start your public comment. And when you do give your public comment, there will be a timer in front of you. And if you go over the time allocated to you, the city clerk or the elected official will ask you to take a seat or sit down or tell you your public comment period has ended. And once you've given your public comment, you are allowed to leave the meeting, or you can stay at the meeting. It's entirely up to you. And notice on this public comment card at the bottom of the screen, it tells us that public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. This information isn't always shared on other public comment cards in other cities, so make sure to always read the first page of an agenda to know how much time you have to speak. If you're interested in only observing and listening to a city council or board of supervisors meeting without giving public comment, you can attend the meeting in person and sit in chairs like folks joining us here today are sitting in. You can watch the meeting on the city or county's website. You can watch the meeting on your local cable channel, or you can watch the meeting on YouTube. It's important to know what the American Disability Act accommodation is, or ADA. And the American Disability Act accommodation is meant to ensure that people with disabilities can fully participate in civic processes. Under federal law, state and local governments must follow the ADA regardless of their size. And the ADA sets standards for accessibility and reasonable accommodations to support individuals with disabilities in civic processes. And cities and counties do have request time periods for ADA services. For example, in the city of Camarillo, individuals must contact the city clerk at least 40 hours in advance of the meeting. In the city of Oxnard, individuals must contact the city clerk at least 72 hours before the meeting. So the time frames for requesting ADA services differs between cities, and details regarding these timeframes are typically provided on the front or last page of city and county agendas. So agendas hold magical information. They tell you how to participate. They share the contact information for how to request accessibility services. The contact information and request times for ADA services are also located in our language service scan, making it easier for you to access the information right away rather than having to read through an entire agenda to find it. Physical, visual, auditory, and language access are crucial elements for ensuring that community members can fully participate in government meetings and other civic processes. The procedures for requesting language access services differs from city to city in the Tri-County area. In many cities, there is a lack of clear information on how community members can request language services, and some cities don't provide any clear information or guidance at all in their agendas. However, a handful of cities do offer more transparent information. For instance, the city of Ojai directs individuals seeking interpretation services to contact the city clerk. On the other hand, the city of Ventura offers real-time two-way interpretation services for city council meetings without requiring community members to request these services in advance. These next few slides will cover how we can write an effective public comment, how we can give an effective public comment. And writing and giving a public comment can be stressful. I know I still get stressed and I still get anxious when I give public comment, and that's totally okay. And that's why we're here today to share some tips and to keep in mind when preparing for a public comment. So, some things to keep in mind: wait until your agenda item comes up. Remember, the city clerk will call your name up, which will signal to you to walk to the podium and give your public comment. It's also important to remember that you might only be given 2 to 3 minutes to give public comment. Generally, you have 3 minutes to speak, but if it's an item with lots of people talking about it, it's up to the city council's and board's discretion for how much time they give you for public comment, so they may cut your public comment to 1 minute. It's also important to keep in mind that only one public comment per agenda item is allowed, but you may give multiple public comments during one meeting, just only one public comment per agenda item. And it's also totally okay to just attend the public meetings just to listen. That's also another form of participating in public meetings. When giving public comment, make sure to state your name, your title and/or affiliation, if applicable. State if you are a resident of the city or county you're giving public comment at. City councils and board of supervisors love to hear from their constituents, so make sure to mention if you're a local community member in your public comment. Share a personal story and brief explanation of why this issue is important to you. A short example is, my name is Farrah Stack. I am the policy associate for the Community Environmental Council, and I am a resident of Santa Barbara. I bike to work every day. I also bike for fun, for exercise, and for commuting around town. I would like for the city of Santa Barbara to widen bike lanes and place physical barriers that separate cyclists from cars. This is important to me because it would help me and other cyclists feel safer and more comfortable biking throughout the city. That's just a short example. All that matters is that you share your story, you share from the heart, you share your experience, and you share why the issue is important to you. And remember, if you're nervous, like me, I get nervous all the time, breathe, drink water, and take care of your needs. If you do get nervous, invite a friend or family member. Remember that local decision makers, they want to hear from you. Remember that your voice is so powerful, and together as a collective, when you give public comments alongside other community members, that is so impactful and so meaningful. And share your story, and remember that public comments are an essential part of the process for creating change in your community. And with that, I'll hand it back to Michael to inspire everyone joining us tonight just how to get more involved.
Thank you so much, Farah. That was very comprehensive, and I wish that I had training like this before I made my first public comment. And now I'm going to just share with you some of our local policy wins. So hopefully you'll want to sign up to be one of CEC's climate activists at the end of this meeting. And it's just fascinating, to me at least, an energy wonk, about how our region is moving away from fossil fuels extremely quickly. And we've really made tremendous action locally on climate policy. And so I'm going to share some of these policy wins from 2023 and really hopefully inspire you all to join your voices for more progress. So how do we get fossil fuels out of our community, switch to a renewable future? Well, I'll tell you about just this decarbonization story in a nutshell. In a few sentences, what we need to do is switch to 100% renewable electricity and then use that renewable electricity in electric vehicles and electrified buildings. And then we get rid of the natural gas, the gasoline, and the fossil fuels. So I'm going to tell you a little story about community choice energy and how important it is as the first step of this decarbonization story. So about 15 years ago, when CEC was looking and really starting to focus on climate, we found that the strongest policy to help us move quickly to 100% renewables was this new idea called community choice energy. And a law had been passed in California, and it enabled cities to come together and create a local energy purchasing organization. And so citizens would have an alternative to the monopoly corporation of Southern California Edison or Pacific Gas and Electric. And so they would have a choice. Rather than just one place you can get your electricity, you could choose between two. And the important thing about this too is that these organizations have a lower cost structure so that they can reinvest their profits back in the community rather than going to shareholders and excessive CEO salaries, as well as they have a strong commitment to moving quicker to 100% renewable electricity. And I'm happy to share with you, after 15 years, CEC led a lot of this advocacy here in the Tri-Counties. There were many studies, many public comments at public meetings, lots of advocacy and efforts, but now we have 3 community choice energy agencies that serve the Tri-Counties, and almost every single city in the Tri-Counties now gets their energy from a community choice agency. So here in Santa Barbara, there's a very small one called Santa Barbara Clean Energy. It's just the city of Santa Barbara. And then in Ventura County, most of the cities in the county are with Clean Power Alliance, which also serves LA County. And then in the rest of Santa Barbara County, as well as San Luis Obispo County, and the counties all the way up to Santa Cruz, are served by Central Coast Community Energy. And here in Santa Barbara, as well as almost all the cities in Ventura and the county, we're already serving 100% renewable electricity to our citizens and our organizations, which is fantastic. This is 25 years before the official state targets of 2045. In Central Coast Community Energy, they have a commitment to getting to 100% renewables by 2030, so that's 15 years ahead of the state. And they're signing long-term power purchase agreements for new build solar and wind and geothermal and battery storage. So this is all happening right now very quickly. Another thing is that, for example, Central Coast Community Energy, they have a much better cost structure than PG&E and SCE, so they're giving big discounts as well as putting $15 million a year in programs to help citizens and organizations with electric vehicle and heat pump rebates. They're helping schools get electric school buses, helping farmers get electric ag equipment. And so they're really helping to provide more access to clean energy technologies, as well as getting us to the 100% quicker. So that's why community choice is really important, and CEC's been focused on it. And this year, we've been really working, and we have some great policy wins. We expanded community choice energy to the county of San Luis Obispo, and also to the city of Port Hueneme. And I want to mention that the mayor of the city of Port Hueneme, Bobby Martinez, is with us, and he was a really strong partner moving forward community choice in Hueneme. So thank you so much for that. These two entities expanded access to 140,000 citizens, faster access to 100% renewables and all the programs. We also, this year, supported Santa Paula, who we worked with last year to join Clean Power Alliance, and they said 100% renewable energy default option this year. And then we also worked with a coalition with Central Coast Community Energy to ensure what's called a project selection criteria. So this incorporates very high standards for labor, for the environment, for environmental justice, for the billions of dollars in electricity that they purchase on our behalf. And this is likely to be a very trend-setting policy that's going to be adopted by many other community choice organizations all around the state. And I'd like to point out that this is a strong movement. There's over 20 community choice organizations around the state. And just in one decade now, 11 million Californians out of the 40 million are served by community choice. So it's happening really quick, and it's really exciting. So next, we need to use that renewable electricity in our cars, in our buildings, instead of using gasoline and natural gas. And so CEC has led policy work to make our cities easier to get around without a car, as well as to make it easier to drive electric vehicles. We've also been working in partnership with other local organizations such as Sierra Club and Sea Frog and residents to advocate for electric vehicle reach codes. So what these are is a policy. It's a requirement or code for new construction that ensures new buildings, and particularly multifamily properties and workplaces, that they add additional electric vehicle charging or at least a pre-wiring capability. So this expands charging access to renters and makes it much easier to consider switching to an electric vehicle. The city of Goleta has begun actively developing an electric vehicle reach code, and other cities and counties in our region are also considering something similar. We've also been successful with building electrification reach codes. So these require all new construction to be built all electric, so not using natural gas. This actually reduces the cost to build, since you just have an enhanced electrical system. You don't need to construct all the natural gas piping through the building. These buildings are also safer and healthier to live in, and they're much more sustainable because they can be powered by 100% renewable electricity and high efficiency heat pumps, and they don't have natural gas in them. So in the last few years, we've worked to have the cities of Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, Ojai, and the county of Ventura to all pass such ordinances. And this year, we worked to have Goleta, Carpinteria, and the county of Santa Barbara to join them. Unfortunately, though, there was a lawsuit that has paused activity on these reach codes. So as you can see, we're very proud of our work to reduce usage of fossil fuels and all the progress that we've made. But we also recognize that at the same time we are reducing our emissions, we must also take the existing carbon out of the air and sequester it. And so what that means is that we're working through our climate smart agriculture programs, and they seek to really accelerate this by sequestering carbon, taking the carbon out of the air and into the soil and plants in our natural and working lands. This approach has huge co-benefits for farmers and ranchers, including more fertile soils enhanced water retention and drought protection, pollination benefits, and many more. CEC has also worked to help the County of Santa Barbara's Climate Action Plan to facilitate more climate-smart agriculture. And then this year, we actually worked to develop a state a bill, SB 675, and this was a prescribed grazing bill with Senator Limon. And prescribed grazing is using animals like sheep and goats to eat flammable vegetation in parks and open spaces, which provides a fire break. They can be used in steep hillsides and places where weed whackers and large machines can't be used, providing fire protection, but while they also eat vegetation and sequestering carbon in the soil. So this was exciting because this was one of our first state bills, and SB 675 seemed to be headed to the governor's desk, but it was delayed until early next year. While there was no opposition, some last-minute amendment requests from the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, they arrived too late to be integrated into the bill before the legislative session closed. So we're really hoping that it will pass next year. And so in addition, I mentioned the comments and the ways that we help shape the County of Santa Barbara's Climate Action Plan. We've also been involved in reviewing and advocating for stronger climate action plans in the cities of Ventura and Santa Barbara this year, as well as many other cities in the past. We've also worked on other planning documents for other cities. And a climate action plan is a city's overall strategy and plan for reducing their greenhouse gas emissions and establishing climate resilience. And if you live in Santa Barbara or Santa Barbara County, the climate action plans are going through a new iteration. So definitely look for materials from us or from your county or city for great opportunities to comment on the climate action plans that are being developed right now. We've also championed early action on strategies such as the ones that I discussed earlier, making it easier to drive electric vehicles and move to all electric buildings. So in the last year, CEC has given over 60 public comments. This are in the format of emails, letters, public comments, speeches. And in 2023 so far, we've taken over 100 policy actions. So public comments, one-on-one meetings with elected officials, lobbying, advocacy efforts. And you can see how much impact a small organization has had. And we really rely on the power of people, partnerships, and public comment. And so this is where you all can come in to really push the needle forward and enact the bold and equitable climate solutions that we need. And I'll just give you a few details on the breadth of the different actions, things such as support for electric vehicle fleet policies at the City of Santa Barbara and the County of Santa Barbara. We made comments on the County of Santa Barbara's housing element, the City of Santa Barbara's bike share, and campaign contributions regarding big oil and reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the County of Ventura. We campaigned for the City of Port Hueneme to join Clean Power Alliance, and for Santa Paula to set 100% renewable energy as their default option. We worked on getting dedicated bike lanes in the City of Santa Barbara, opposition to the oil and gas settlement agreement in the County of Ventura, opposition to the extension of the Ormond Beach natural gas power plant in Oxnard. We supported infill development rather than sprawl in Santa Maria, and we supported heat pumps in California's statewide 2023 building code update. So these are just some of the 60 public comments that we made. So hopefully I've inspired you to become a CEC climate activist, and you can whip out your phone right now. This is the link. All you folks on Zoom, take a look at your computer, whip it out, so you can sign up right now, or you could get an email later to do it. We'll send you an email with the recording of this as well as a bunch of resources. And honestly, we only will email you, or if you prefer, text you when there's an option for public comment in your city or county. It might only be a couple times a year. And we really will target to you if you live in Ojai, or if you live in Oxnard, or if you live in Santa Maria, to just a local issue. We'll read all those agendas that you saw, and provide a summary of the issue and talking points. You can always call, talk to me or Farah about the issue. We could help you develop your public comment. And either email or spoken comments are welcome. If there's a virtual public comment option that you're going to do, we can even text you when the item is coming up so you don't have to sit through the whole meeting. We'll just let you know, hey, your agenda item is coming up so that you don't have to attend the whole meeting. So that's our training. We're ready for questions. And just to kick it off, I'd just like to ask if anyone wants to share, what actions they'll take from what they learned today, or if anyone wants to share any questions or experience they might have for other people. So, Bobby.
I want to mention that I like the idea of having the agenda be on Spanish. And so that's something that I noticed from today's meeting. So I think I'm going to bring that to my city and hopefully make sure that we can have agendas also in Spanish. Being a council member in the city of Hueneme and mayor, one of the things that I can mention is if people want to make change, you can also email council members, supervisors. I think that's great. You can also talk to them in person. But for sure, the most powerful thing that you can do is attend the city meetings. So make sure you bring a big group, and the more people that show up and talk on a topic, the more influence that you can do on those topics that you want to bring change to. Yeah, and then
thank you. Yeah, hear it straight from the mayor of Hueneme that having people there makes a really big difference to the meeting. Yes, we have another question over here.
I just want to say thank you for the training. I learned some things I wish I'd known before, but I wanted to say one other, to add to what Farah said about making a public comment and using a personal story. That's definitely effective from what I've seen when I've gone to these meetings. But I also think if you have professional knowledge like you do, if you throw in a statistic or something that for instance, since they've developed the protected bike path on Las Positas, there have been this many fewer accidents, between vehicles and bikes. I think that's a good thing too. And then one last thing about city council members, at least in Santa Barbara, I just learned this from our councilman, Oscar Gutierrez, that if you have an issue, don't just write to your district council member, but write to all of them, which I didn't know before and I think is really effective. So that was it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. Yeah, definitely if you're going to take the time to write them out, just send them to all the different city council members.
Buenas tardes. No sé si esta pregunta está bien, pero nada más quiero decir que ¿por qué las juntas en el concilio se hacen?
Hello, I just wanted to ask this question. Why are city council meetings only held in the mornings and not in the evenings? Because most of us, our people, we're working, and so we can't attend those meetings. So I also wanted to share that I attended a Zoom meeting, and the translation into Spanish was not very good. I think they were using not a person, but like an online tool. They were using an online tool to translate in writing, but it was nothing was understandable. So I was attending through Zoom, but I had to have my YouTube channel on to be able to listen in Spanish. So I just wanted to share that. Thanks.
Gracias.
I just wanted to mention that you're right. It's unfortunate sometimes that the city council meetings are often during the middle of the day. The board of supervisor meetings are during the day. But many city councils, especially the smaller cities, like I know Hueneme or smaller cities where oftentimes the city council members have full-time work and they're a city council member in the evening. Those ones are often in the evening. So it just really depends on the city that you live in. Some of the meetings are in the evenings, but I totally agree with you that it would be much more convenient if the meetings were in the evening, not during the middle of the day when most people are working. So I would suggest if that happens that, you can still write an email, you can get your comments in, a day ahead, and still be able to make your voice known to your city. And yeah, I heard your comment on the translation, and cities could probably do a lot better than doing automated translation.
Okay, great. So we're just going to continue on. I will actually start off here with a question that's shared via Zoom, and it's a question about community choice energy. It says, I live in the city of Antioch, which doesn't have community choice energy. MCE is the provider for most of my county, Contra Costa County, but my city is wary of MCE. Could my city sign up with a different community choice energy provider?
So yes, this is a great opportunity where you could do some advocacy, public comment. It sounds like maybe the city of Antioch has there's been an initiative to have them join MCE, which is a community choice provider up there, and maybe the city council didn't want to do that. So maybe there's an organization that is working on the issue in the area that you could get involved with and bring it up again, because many, like Wainimi, for example, a few years ago didn't join Clean Power Alliance, and now there's different people on the city council, and they're very supportive of joining Clean Power Alliance. So councils can change, and I would say keep trying. And then, depending on your area, you could join in a different community choice agency. Usually they like to be contiguous, but that is always a possibility. So I would encourage you to talk with the advocates or organizations that are working on this issue in your region and see if maybe they could join a different community choice.
And this one is just very short and sweet. Does my public comment have to do with the agenda? Nope.
Almost. So, no. Your public comment does not have to be about an item on the agenda. Earlier in the presentation, I mentioned there is an opportunity during public meetings called the general public comment period. And this is where you can talk about issues or items that are not on the agenda, and you can ask these questions directly to the city council member, and you can share your thoughts and your feedback on this issue. And again, this issue does not necessarily have to be on the agenda.
Amazing. I do want to share a question and an answer that was shared via Zoom for everybody here in the audience to also see. And so the question was, if I want to introduce an ordinance to the City Council for consideration, is it best to ask my council member to bring it to the meeting or to bring it myself during the public comment period? And this is a response from Fillmore City Council member Christina Villaseñor, and it is, I would say to set up individual meetings with the council members who are likely to be supportive, and find your champion on the council to bring your ordinance forward. And you may have to work different angles with different council members. Once you have a champion, I would spend some time strategizing with your champion on how best to move the ordinance forward. Okay, this one says, like the mention of calling city manager to request accessibility, wonder how responsive they will be.
So this depends on the city manager and or the city clerk. Some city managers and city clerks are more responsive to you as community members when you do send an email. City managers and city clerks have to reply to emails, especially when you are requesting services or accommodation needs. And my suggestion, and just in my personal experience, when I've reached out to city clerks for additional accommodations, I'll send an email or I'll call their office once. And if they don't reply to me on email, or if they don't pick up the phone, I'll usually send a follow-up email, or I'll give them another call. And I have better luck reaching them the second time. City clerks and city managers do get quite busy, so sometimes you just have to call them twice. And so, yeah.
This is a request. Can CEC talk about or provide support for organizing a group of climate activists or pro-renewable energy in your community? In my community, for some reason, there's an established dislike for outside organizations coming into the city and advocating for an issue. That being said, I know a few strong individuals who will speak, but they are not an organized, cohesive group or voice. Please discuss initial steps these local environmental or community activists can take to meet like-minded people and get organized around an issue.
So yeah, that's a good question, and it's also something that here at CEC, since we are a Santa Barbara-based organization, although we serve the whole tri-counties that we have really thought about. We have many projects that are happening in different cities, in North County, Santa Barbara, or in Ventura County. We have lots of funding that we've brought into these areas. We have staff that live in cities in Ventura County or the rest of Santa Barbara County. But we do understand that we're based here in Santa Barbara and that we can be seen as an outside organization. And so usually what we do is we really work closely with local community-based organizations that are based in, say, in Santa Paula, really try to network with the community members or the organizations that feel really strongly about this issue. So yeah, send us an email, be in touch. We'd be happy to connect you with maybe other advocates or local organizations that are working in your city. And then you can add your voice to that collective effort. And then we can also help on the back end with strategy and resources or different ideas on how we could move something forward. So yeah, please email us. I'd be interested to see what your topic is.
Okay, so this one is, how do you assess if public comments are having an effect? And if you've commented on a subject, when would you comment again?
That's a really good question, and I definitely ask myself that question when I give public comment. I think how people define successful is different from person to person. Some people might define a successful public comment as, I gave public comment for the first time, and it was my first experience going to a city council meeting, and I used my voice to advocate for an issue in my community. I think that's successful, regardless what actions a city council member takes. I definitely think when an individual or a group of people give public comments together at a city council meeting, and when they do give public comments together and the city council members do take actions, I think that is definitely successful. So I think it depends on how an individual defines success. Ultimately, I believe that as community members, we all really just want, healthy and safe and accessible communities and spaces for us to live and thrive. And so I think how that individual defines success is up to them. But I think what makes public comment successful is, one, if you're doing it alone and sharing your voice, I think, as I said, that's successful. I think if folks are in a situation where they have given public comment before, alone or by themselves, and they're feeling, tired or fatigued because no action is being taken, Mayor Martinez from the city of Port Hueneme emphasized that giving public comments as a group of people, I think that is so impactful and that is so successful because, you're raising awareness about issues that are affecting your community and that are happening in your neighborhoods. And as a collective of people, I mean, that sense of community is successful when people can advocate together on an issue. So I think it depends on how each individual defines a successful public comment, but I'm always encourage everyone and anyone to continue what you're doing and to if you want to be more successful, I guess, invite others to give public comment alongside you and start attending meetings with more people and more community members.
Yeah, I'd like to just add to that. Definitely making public comment and bringing up an issue to your city council for the first time is really important. I think connecting with a group like CEC or a group like CAUSE that's working on the issues that are really important to you is a really great way to add your power to extra voices. And we do think about strategy, we think about the different compositions of city councils, and we try for multiple years. For example, in Hueneme, last year, Mayor Martinez, we worked on Hueneme. There was a different city administrator, and they weren't moving forward community choice very quickly, which was unfortunate. And last year, we weren't able to move it forward. We were working also in Santa Paula and Fillmore, and last year Santa Paula moved forward. Then this year, there was a different city manager, and we were able to get some really great success. And I believe it was a unanimous vote to join Clean Power Alliance, which is fantastic. So sometimes you just need to regroup, wait a year, and then you'll have success the next time. So that's a real life story. But oftentimes we'll look at a city council and say, okay, maybe there's one or two votes that we know this person's a progressive voice for the climate. They're probably going to vote yes. Maybe there's a couple that are swing votes, and so then you'd really want to focus on messages that maybe it's the economic message of community choice and the programs that they're going to bring to the community, or some message that would resonate with that specific council member is a really good way to target the swing votes or the ones that you're not quite sure how they're going to vote.
Wonderful. That is, we are a few minutes over. That is all the time we have for questions. So thank you both. Thank you everybody for submitting questions. Just please stay with us for a few more minutes. We're going to share some additional opportunities and what we have coming up here at CEC. So here's Kathy King, Director of Climate Education and Leadership.
Thank you. Thank you, Tia, and good evening, everybody in the room and with us on Zoom. If you're here tonight, you're interested in taking climate action, so thank you for that. And participating in government meetings and signing up to be a CEC climate activist is a great place to start. If you want to dive deeper into climate action and help lead transformative local solutions to the climate crisis, I encourage you to consider CEC's Climate Stewards Certification Program. We've been offering the Climate Stewards course, thank you, since 2021 in partnership with UC Environmental Stewards. It's a statewide certification program for professionals, retirees, small business owners, and everyday people who want to get involved in climate action. We are proud to have certified over 130 climate stewards so far. People who have gotten involved in their communities and workplaces with projects that have far-reaching impacts and inspire others to join the movement. The 9-week course is offered over Zoom and includes a few in-person weekend field trips. Anyone is welcome to apply. Our winter 2024 cohort starts January 31st. We can take up to 30 participants. It's filling up fast, but there are still spaces left. The course is currently only being offered in English, and that's because of the curriculum from the state, and we hope that that will change. The course fee is $300, and we have a limited number of full and partial scholarships, and so that no one will be turned away for lack of funds. The class focuses on managing eco-anxiety, effective climate communication, the causes and solutions for climate impacts, and a stewardship project designed to activate participants in the community. Our participants are already working across the region. A staff member from the Guadalupe Dune Center added climate messaging to her tours of the dunes. She also successfully ran for city council in Guadalupe, so she took her activism to the ultimate policy level. Other participants have joined committees pushing for policy change. 3 of our students are on the cruise ship committee at the City of Santa Barbara, advocating for regulation of the frequent cruise ship visits to our channel. One of our students applied for and was appointed to a seat on the City of Santa Barbara Transportation and Circulation Committee. He's really passionate about clean transportation and is working to make a difference on that committee. Several of our alumni attended Planning Commission meetings about Exxon's efforts to restart the pipeline that spilled in 2015. All of the quotes in a NewsHawk article about the issue were from CEC climate stewards. Our alumni work with us in a variety of ways, including volunteering at events like this one. Sabina Thomas, who was circulating the mic earlier, is one of our stellar climate steward volunteers. I hope you'll consider this opportunity. Additional details will be included in our follow-up email, and I will be here after the program if you want to talk further. This wonderful space is available to rent for meetings and events with discounted rates for nonprofits, B corporations, educational institutions, and government agencies. You can visit envirohubsb.org to learn more. We invite you to join us for our first big event of 2024. We are co-hosting a public hearing with the Climate Protection and Restoration Initiative about federal policies needed to address climate change. This national organization has hosted hearings in Hawaii and Colorado, and we are proud to be their third stop. Local experts will provide testimony, and the public is welcome to comment too, so it's a chance to use some of the new skills you might have learned tonight. Free events like this are just one of the ways the Community Environmental Council works to advance rapid and equitable solutions to the climate crisis. And events like this are only made possible because of donations from individuals like you. You can visit the QR code on the screen or visit CECSB.org/donate. We also invite you to stay in touch. Here are many ways to stay connected. Thank you to Farah and Michael and everyone for a great night. Our speakers will stick around if you want to ask additional questions. Thanks to everyone, and good night.